Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Loud, unfiltered, and live nationwide. It's the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central.
This is the year, even in a first-year system with Mike McCarthy, that Dallas has to win the NFC East. They have to. If Dallas doesn't win the NFC East this year, something is majorly wrong.
Want to chime in? Join the live chat on either Facebook or Twitter at Cream City Central. Your comment could be featured on today's show. From the WWSP 90 FM studios in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, here's Alex Strouf.
It's another fantastic edition of the Alex Strouf Show presented by Cream City Central on a Thursday, July 16th already, 2020. Alongside producer Kyle, I am Alex Strouf. Oh, man, this is going to be a fun 2 hours, a bunch of stuff in store. Kathleen, Matt, John, all chiming in on the live chats. Good afternoon to all of you. Happy Thursday. Here's what we got in store for you today, folks. Like I said, it's a big one. About 15 minutes from now, Travis Diener, who literally hit a shot worth $1 million on Tuesday night in the basketball tournament championship for the Golden Eagles, the Marquette alumni team. He will join us to discuss the last 48 hours, which have been absolutely insane for him. A recurring guest of ours. Excited to chop it up with Travis here in a couple of minutes. Tom Grossi, who is the host of Packast on YouTube. He's a comedian, great dude. Really excited to talk with Tom at 3:45. I know that we had a little switcheroo happen right before the show, so obviously the intro times were wrong. But Tom Grossi in the first hour. Second hour, 4:15, Justin Garcia is the studio host of the Milwaukee Bucks Radio Network. A good friend of mine. He will hop on and chop it up with us. He had a small panel pop up, and I understand that takes precedence over the Alex Strouf Show. So he'll join us at 4:15, and then at 4:30, I picked every single NFL game this season. I'm not going to run down on all the picks. I'm going to tell you the results and my July Super Bowl pick. As it stands today. So we'll do that at 4:30 alongside Victor Hensley, one of my best friends, will hop in with us at 4:30. So jam-packed show today. No shows next week. We'll have some pre-recorded content to put out. I will be driving cross-country, as I mentioned on Tuesday, helping my best friend and his mom move out to the San Diego area. So driving cross-country next week. No show, but we will be back the following Wednesday, which looking at the calendar, that is what's the date? The 29th. So we're off until the 29th, the next 13 days. So we thought we'd bring it today, and that's exactly what we plan to do. But producer Kyle is alongside me as always. Kyle, how are you, my friend?
So first of all, I'm great. But if my math serves me correctly, that's not 1, not 2, not 3, but we have 4 guests today.
Yeah, that is a record if you're keeping track at home. 4 guests today. And we've already got Kyle, so I'm going to count it as 5, even though you work on the show. Yeah. We'll count it. But like I said, comment section wide open. Chime in, say your hellos. We appreciate all the likes, the loves, the laugh reacts that we get on Facebook every day, so make sure to keep doing that. The hearts on Periscope, we see those flying through. The text line is open, 877-878-7683, scrolling across the bottom line as we get into a few things. But first, let's address Today's Twitter question is the following: which Eastern Conference team is the Bucks' greatest threat to diminish their championship hopes? Some great English there from producer Kyle.
Wait, hold on. Did I mess that up?
No, I'm saying that was a really great sentence by you.
Oh.
I'm giving you props.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, I wasn't being a dick.
I'm so used to, if one of these days we're going to record one of our, preparing for a show sessions and throw it up on YouTube just for a little excitement. We go back and forth with such sarcasm all the time. So honestly,
You couldn't gauge the difference. I understand. No, I'm being sincere. So your options: the Celtics, Raptors, the Heat, or other, and give us who you think in the Eastern Conference poses a better threat. The Sixers, of course, one of the non-listed options. So that poll available for another hour at Cream City Central on Twitter, and we'll jump into our results later with Justin Garcia. He joins at 4:15, and we'll talk to him about that as well. But that said, as we lead up to Travis Diener here in about 10 minutes, I want to talk about the basketball tournament because it was awesome, and I've talked a lot about it the past few weeks. But I've never really gone into a deep explanation of why it meant so much to me and why I got so into TBT on ESPN. The obvious reason is it was the only damn live sports going on. So obviously that helped my love and the passion for TBT, the 10, 11 days it was going on. But like a lot of sports fans, my favorite event of the year every single year is March Madness. And as we all know, we didn't have the NCAA basketball tournament this year due to COVID. So this was the first tournament style tournament we had in a long time. But on top of that, it was causes, teams, and names we recognized in passing. So you didn't know all the names, of course, because these are guys that play overseas, guys that haven't played in college in several years. But the name of the tournament for me was Marcus Keene. He played for Sideline Kansas, the team the Golden Eagles knocked off in the championship game. He was the name of the tournament, Marcus Keene. And I recognized that name, but I couldn't remember quite why. And it popped into my head 2 years ago only. He led the nation in scoring for Central Michigan. And although you weren't sitting down on your couch on a Thursday night drinking a beer and watching Central Michigan take on Eastern Michigan or Ball State or whoever they were taking on that particular night, you probably didn't go out of your way to watch Marcus Keene. But you recognize the name because he led the nation in points just 2 years ago. And the under 6 foot guard put on a show in TBT in the 5 games he played in. So that was fun. But regardless of Marcus Keene, for the Golden Eagles, for Marquette's team, we saw Jameel Wilson and Darius Johnson-Odom, DJO, the tournament player, or the player of the tournament, rather. They put on a show for Marquette like it was freaking 2012 again. And it was as badass as it got. I mean, it was really quality entertainment. And for the next generation, Travis Diener, who will join us here in about 5 minutes, was chucking dimes like he used to D. Wade and Steve Novak back in the 2003 Final Four. I mean, it was just crazy awesome to see all these players doing what they do best. But to go back to that winner go home tournament style play that we haven't seen since the Big East tournament, not quite. Big East tournament got axed. It got chopped by COVID. What about the Big Ten tournament? That didn't happen. How about the MAC women's basketball tournament in Cleveland? That got axed by COVID. This is the first real winner go home tournament style we've seen since the NFL playoffs. Seriously. I mean, this is the first time we've seen real win or go home, smash mouth. You know, your bags are packed, the bus is warm when you lose in the basketball tournament. It was the best stuff we've seen since the NFL playoffs. That's 5 months, by the way. 6 months, in fact. 6 months since the NFL playoffs already. The Super Bowl, obviously, early February, but real playoffs mid-January. So it's been almost 6 months since we've seen real win or go home style. I mean, this was competitive basketball, fast-paced. I mean, it was awesome. It was damn enjoyable. I mean, we had Ethan Happ and Diamond Stone going toe-to-toe just 2 weeks ago. And these are two Wisconsin legends. You have Ethan Happ, who obviously at the college level played for Wisconsin, played for the Badgers, was a stud. And Diamond Stone at the high school level, like Cuba City, obviously went to Maryland for a year, then the league. But these are two Wisconsin basketball legends going toe-to-toe in this tournament. It's awesome, especially from the Wisconsin scope that I view it with. Then we got crazy upsets, right? I remind you, the team that the Golden Eagles took on in the basketball tournament championship was a 22 seed in a 24 seeded tournament. They were the third lowest seed and they made the championship game. So talk about crazy upsets and crazy finishes. You add in that Elam ending and it is insane. So for those of you not familiar with the Elam ending, it sets a target score. So rather than playing the final 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, there's some math that goes into it and you get a target score. So the first team to hit that score, like you're playing 21 in the driveway with your brothers, is implemented into this $1 million winner-take-all tournament. Now, Travis Diener, a past guest on this show, had the duty of hitting that Elam ending shot. The shot heard around the world for $1 million. Here's Dan Rathbun with the call for ESPN.
Win. There it is. Watch Wilson. They go inside and out. Bikes feeds it in. Diener to win it. God, he's done it again.
Travis Diener sinking it from the corner. We've all seen that graphic go around Facebook groups and Twitter, right? $50,000 for a layup. $100,000 if you make a free throw. A corner three worth $1 million. Travis Diener did just that, and his dad's reaction to it was the best part. His dad, who we talked about with him on June 2nd when Travis joined us last month, we talked about his dad's intensity. And this is Travis Diener's dad watching his son hit the shot heard around the world for $1 million.
Kick it.
It doesn't get much better than that. I mean, it's such a small town vibe, right? The dad, or Travis's dad, running behind the bar to hug the bartenders, and I assume probably the owners, some family and friends, obviously getting hyped up. But we go to the phone lines now, where that man in particular, the guy who hit the $1 million shot, heard around the world. Miller Lite even heard him in Milwaukee. It's friend of the show, Travis Diener. Travis, man, it's been a heck of a 48 hours. How are you?
I'm doing well. Things are definitely it's been a little wild the last day and a half.
How hungover are you?
Well, I'm currently drinking, so not too bad.
So you're day drunk. That's good. I love. What are you drinking, man?
I wouldn't say drunk, but I'll get there.
Okay, good. What are you drinking today?
Going Deep Eddy and water.
Okay, I like it. So I guess
lemon flavored.
Lemon flavored. They're very, very fancy for the Marquette guy.
Yeah.
So while we're on the topic of alcohol, Miller Lite DM'd you. They're sending you free beer. Do you know how much?
No, they sent me another message today saying that the shipment is on its way. So we'll find out.
So let's
find out.
Yeah, I mean, you'll drink it all in 2 nights, I bet. But that's nothing on you. That's just impressive. Let's talk about the shot though, Travis. I mean, you're open in the corner. We've seen you hit game winners before in this tournament. Never one of that pedigree by any means. But when you caught the ball, it was no doubt you were going to shoot it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was literally wide open. So if I would have passed that, I would have looked like I don't know if I can use the right language on air. But,
please do. Have at it.
I would have looked like a pussy.
Yeah.
So I was wide open. You know, obviously tens of thousands of shots from that spot over the course of my life. So you kind of, in the moment, you're not thinking about anything besides the repetitions that you've done. And
yeah,
the game happens so fast, so you kind of just let it fly.
And when that thing goes through, I mean, it wasn't Kawhi-like shot, right? It didn't bounce around the rim. It went straight through. And when that went in, what's the reaction? I've got $93,000 now, or what?
Not initially. Initially, I mean, everything is really a blur. You kind of just lose your mind. If you can see the reaction of some of my teammates, guys are just running, but with nowhere to run to, you kind of just, it's all a blur. And then after, 5 or 6 minutes, you kind of just take a deep breath and you're like, then you realize, what you've accomplished in winning a championship. And then obviously you think about, the 93,000 as well.
Yeah, and we got a great reaction during your press conference when the money hit. So I guess I've been told to ask you this. I don't care, but where's the 93,000 going? What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, when you have a wife and 3 kids, I mean, obviously you think about them, and their college funds will be getting a nice contribution here in the next couple of days, and then donate to charities that we're involved with or that mean something to us. So you kind of can take care of people that are less fortunate, that might be sick, kids, obviously stuff like that. It's also incredibly important when you come up with $1 million for playing a basketball game.
Right. Travis Diener, my guest, a champion of TBT as of Tuesday night, hit the game-winning shot that was heard around the world. So, Travis, I guess I'm going to pitch maybe what I think maybe you should do with some of the money. How about a statue of you? Has that crossed your mind, or is that a little bit too narcissistic?
That's way too narcissistic.
Okay.
No. That'd be funny though.
That'd be a hell of a thing to put outside the McGuire. I mean, that's just my idea. I think that'd be great. So I want to ask about. No, go ahead.
I would just put it right outside my front
They
door.
know who lives there then, man. You mark your damn territory. Talk to me about the bubble life. I mean, we see all the crazy stuff going down in Orlando. Didn't seem to be the case for you guys in the basketball tournament. What was bubble life like?
No, essentially just our rooms that we had, and then we had a team room. You weren't allowed to leave the hotel. You weren't allowed to commingle with other guys. So, it forced us to hang out with each other, which was good. It helped our chemistry. We were connected. So for 14 straight days, it's pretty much our whole team would go down the team room, play cards, play video games, drink some beers, some wine, and eat and watch games, and just stuff that, men typically do when they're hanging out with each other.
Doesn't sound too shabby.
Yeah, no, it was good for the first few days. Then it gets kind of, like Groundhog's Day. I got to go do this.
Yeah.
There's really not much going on, but so we're all happy to be home.
Yeah, I bet. And 10 days or whatever it was, 2 weeks about for you guys versus 3 months in the NBA. I guess that's a little bit more bearable.
Yeah, it is. But, also, these guys that are, bitching and moaning, they're also getting a check every 2 weeks, and in the TBT, there's no guarantee that, anything was coming through. So for the other 23 teams that sacrificed their time and, they weren't going home with anything. So these
right.
NBA guys that, every 2 weeks they're going to get a check, and, that's their job. So, I think they can suck it up, and they're trying to win a championship, which is awfully important. So I don't think you're hearing much complaining from the teams that, know they have a chance to win it all. Yeah,
that's not a bad point. So I got to ask, man, looking at this whole experience, I mean, it's pretty nuts, but I'm curious about one aspect, right? They packed up the bags, and if you lose, you got to go. So did you have to pack your bags before every game you played?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Pack up and take them down to the lobby, and if we lost, we'd have to leave.
See, that kind of
cool too.
That is cool, and obviously great for safety precautions. But it seems kind of like a pain in the ass that you have to pack it before every game you played.
Yep. Yeah, it was kind of a nuisance, but at the end, we were packing up pretty much every other day. It's like, all right, I'll just keep this stuff in here.
Right. Yeah. You figured out what was essential to your stay and what wasn't, I imagine.
Exactly.
I want to ask about Marcus Keene. He had a heck of a tournament, obviously led the nation in points per game a few years back at the NCAA level. What was it like playing against him?
It was challenging. Obviously, he was their best player. So the key to containing their team was taking him out. We did a great job with. Derek Wilson did a hell of a job, and but obviously he was leading the tournament in scoring. So we tried to make it hard for him. We tried to take the ball out of his hands, so he didn't get as many opportunities, and we did a great job of that.
And you brought up Jamil, but DJO winning player of the tournament. Those two were great all week long, or the 2 weeks long, I guess.
Yeah, I think they were. You could argue Jamil was the MVP, but DJ was great. Jamil hit big shots, so it was. Without those two, obviously we don't win the tournament. And to be honest, without a lot of players, we don't win the tournament. And that's the thing about being on a championship team. At different moments in different games, guys can step up.
Travis Diener, my guest, hit the big game-winning shot in TBT on Tuesday. He's $93,000 richer. Talk to me about your dad. I mean, we talked on June 2nd about your dad's intensity, and now another video, maybe even better, came out. We showed it right before you hopped on with me. When you saw that video, your dad going crazy, nothing out of the ordinary from him, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, you could have told me his reaction without, me seeing the video, and I would have known that. I've seen that, my whole life from I was a little kid. It just shows his passion for basketball, his competitiveness, intensity. So that's probably where I get some of it. If you see that reaction, I think that's kind of how I've played. So it was nothing new for me.
And was it the bar he was at, the one you picked up the tab at?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much was that again? Just under 2,000, was it?
Yeah, like 1,900, something like that.
Gotcha. And I was reading the receipt a little bit. They were charging people for water.
Well, bottled water.
Oh, was it bottled?
Yeah, they're not charging for tap water.
Well,
I saw that too. It's like, yeah, they're not. I don't know who's ordering bottled water, but I guess they were.
Okay, well that's fair. So I guess I didn't think ahead. I don't know how many bars I've been to that have bottled water in them, though, Travis. I guess.
They do. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, fair enough. All right, a couple more for you before we let you go. Really appreciate the time. I've been calling you the poster boy. I mean, they kind of made you the poster boy of this tournament. What was that like? You've done like 1 million interviews in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot that goes into it. Obviously, you have a lot of experience. I've played a lot of games. I'm older. And, in the past few tournaments, I've hit some Elam Enders, and our team has had a lot of success. So I think naturally it just has fallen on me. I've made some funny quotes regarding beer, and it's kind of taken a life of its own. So for me, it's fun. I enjoy it. I think more now than I ever have. I'm appreciative and grateful of these moments. So, I'm just trying to take advantage of enjoying, the journey of playing these games and hanging out with my teammates.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, that you're calling it quits now, right? Is this it?
No, not yet. Not yet. Well, I don't know yet.
Okay.
I haven't made that decision yet.
Okay, fair enough. Now, that was the rumor. But so I got to ask, are you sick of interviews?
It's getting there.
Okay.
I appreciate, I know people have jobs to do, and right now this is, with live sports, and this is kind of the only thing going on. I understand it. So, I try to say yes to as many as I can. And, fortunately I haven't had to say no, and I'll make time. I totally get it.
You're a pro's pro, Travis, and we really appreciate the time, my friend. And a huge congrats again, man. That was a hell of a shot, a hell of a tourney, and it's always a pleasure to chat with you and a pleasure to watch you on the court.
Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. Hopefully we'll talk in the future.
We definitely will, my friend. You stay safe, all right?
All right, you too. Thanks.
Appreciate it. That's Travis Diener, hit the game-winning shot in the basketball tournament on Tuesday. I called him a pro's pro. I mean, it's a casual, laid-back conversation with him always. He's drinking. This is the most Wisconsin thing I've ever heard. It's 3:25 p.m. and the dude's drinking. I wish I was with him. To be quite frank. But great stuff from him. Really appreciate the time from Travis. I couldn't have hit that shot. As wide open as he was, I'm not hitting that shot. And I talked about that graphic that's made its rounds across social media the last couple of weeks. 50,000 for a layup, 100,000 for a free throw. I think it's 250 for a top of the key 3-pointer and $1 million for the corner three. Dude legitimately hit that shot on that graphic. The hypothetical graphic Travis Diener hit that $1 million shot, literally. How crazy is that? Awesome stuff. Big thanks to Travis Diener again. On the other side, we've got drama brewing in Green Bay relationship-wise. We'll tell you who that is and what the heck's next. That is next on the Alex Strouf Show.
So I'll start with the NFL, because the NFL, like I just said, is in a unique position. And there are a lot of people going back and forth as to whether or not the NFL is going to have fans week one. Are they going to do something similar to Major League Baseball and have two different leagues? We'll see how that goes. But some comments I want to touch on from ESPN are John Harbaugh's comments. And this is something interesting, because the NFL has been trying to work out ways for the players to come back and play safely, whether that's through face masks, social distancing in locker rooms, what have you. My own personal opinion on this is either you're just going to play the game or you're not. You can do everything you want to have the players wear masks and be safe in the football field. But then again, football is a contact sport. So a quote from John Harbaugh here, he says, "I've seen all the memos on that, and to be quite honest with you," he's talking about coronavirus and opening up facilities. "It's impossible what they're asking us to do, humanly impossible. So we're going to do everything we can do. We're going to space. We're going to have masks. But, it's a communication sport. We have to be able to communicate with each other in person. We have to practice." I'm pretty sure the huddle is not going to be 6 feet spaced. Are you guys going to shower one at a time all day? Are you guys going to lift weights one at a time all day? So anyways, Harbaugh goes on and on just like this, and he's just bringing up obvious points. And to go back to my original point, I believe that they're either going to play the game and just kind of roll with it without such incredible restrictions, or they should just not, because it's either going to be one or the other.
The Lambeau Lead, Cream City Central's official Packers podcast. Download wherever you get your podcasts.
The Bucks open against the Celtics on July 31st. I am recording this on June 30th, so that is 1 month away. That 1 month can't come here quick enough. I'm sure we are all excited to tune into ESPN on July 31st and watch the Bucks take on the Celtics. The Celtics are a much different team than the one the Bucks met in the playoffs last season. No Kyrie Irving, no Al Horford. You add Kemba Walker, you increase the roles of Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and you're looking at a really talented team here. But they are pretty young. They're going to ask Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum to make some really big plays and contribute in these 8 games. And I think that ultimately is going to hurt them in this restarted season, at least at the beginning. So I'm not sure really how these young guys are going to handle those changes. So I do like the Bucks to come out very focused and get the win over the Celtics on July 31st in Game 1. Game 2, the Bucks, another formidable opponent, will take on the Houston Rockets. The Bucks have had the Rockets' number the past few years, winning the past 3 matchups. Coach Bud has employed a very unique strategy against James Harden, forcing him to his left, kind of shading, with the defender, really taking away that right. It looks kind of odd as you're watching on TV, and if you're not really sure what's going on, you might be really confused. But that is the strategy. Just sit on his right side, make him go left. That takes away his patented step-back jumper, which really gives him fits. And has caused a lot of problems. The Bucks have gotten the win the last 3 games. I think they will make it 4 in a row against the Rockets, getting the win, moving to 2-0 in Orlando. Small Ball, Milwaukee Bucks Micro Podcast, presented by Cream City Central. Download wherever you get your podcasts.
Loud, unfiltered, and live nationwide. It's the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central.
Yes, it is. Welcome back into the Alex Strouf Show. Man, it's been fun, and we've got more fun coming your way. Big thanks again to Travis Diener. That guy's great. Drinking at 3:25 in the afternoon. Love that. From Travis, hit a huge shot on Tuesday. I hope you were all able to watch that game because it was thrilling, back and forth the whole time. But now I want to get into I love talking about people's personal lives. And I say that sarcastically, but nonetheless, I'm going to do it because it's blowing up and we're in Green Bay, baby. So we gotta talk about it at least a little bit. So reports have speculated that Danica Patrick and Aaron Rodgers have broken up, and me being the investigative journalist I am, and again, I don't love digging into people's personal lives, but I got a tip, I ran with it, and I've confirmed this. Although neither of them have come out publicly and done it, that's why I don't love doing it, but this is true. People noticed that Danica Patrick had unfollowed Aaron Rodgers on Instagram, and I have been told they said their goodbyes a couple nights ago. So there it is. I don't know. Maybe this is just another chip on Rodgers' shoulder, and he can put together the MVP year with already a chip on his shoulder. But that is interesting. About 2 years together, if I'm not mistaken, Patrick and Rodgers, both superstars in their own right. We remember Danica Patrick from the Super Bowl GoDaddy commercials in like 2007. And obviously a race car driver, I believe in the IndyCar series, but I'm not a car guy very much. But nonetheless, there's that news. Aaron Rodgers and Danica Patrick breaking up. Now I'm curious. You know, I've been in breakups before, like most of us have been, and I wonder how and I said superstars in their own right. I wonder how different it is between, you know, a college kid breakup versus a multi-million-dollar or multi-millionaire breakup. I wonder how that is. Do you think right? And Stephen Ripp here mentions, didn't they just buy a huge mansion together not long ago? Timeshare, or is she taking that? I don't have the details on that, but right. And that brings me to my point. They bought a huge house together or timeshare or something. Who gets it? I'm curious because I haven't had to deal with that, and divorces are different, but this is just a breakup. So I wonder how these multimillionaires handle the breakup. I hope it was civil because we never want conflict. But that's an interesting question, Stephen. I appreciate you chiming in on the Facebook chat. So there you have it. Aaron Rodgers and Danica Patrick, done with, over. Ladies, Aaron Rodgers back on the market, and men, Danica Patrick's on the market. I can't complain about that. I don't have a damn shot, but I mean, it's worth bringing it up for everybody. There's only like a 20-year age difference between me and Danica, too. That probably doesn't work in my favor. But nonetheless, there you go. Danica Patrick and Aaron Rodgers have called it quits. But I want to stick in the NFL now. A couple of headlines come out yesterday in the NFL. Derrick Henry of the Tennessee Titans has signed a 4-year, $50 million extension. And wow. And that's the deadline, right? The franchise tag deadline was yesterday. So Derrick Henry breaks away from that big field of running backs that are free agents after this year, after 2020 season. I'll get into some of those names in a second, but what does this mean for Aaron Jones is the big question that everybody's coming to me with. And I get it, right? We're concerned about this running back. 4 years, $50 million. Is that Aaron Jones money? That's the question, because that's what, $12.5 million a year? That seems like Aaron Jones money, but Aaron Jones very vocal about how he wants to stay in Green Bay. But Aaron Jones is going to be getting cut a contract pushed in front of him with a pen from other teams next summer that are probably in the ballpark of $12 million a year. And I don't know if the Packers can afford that with Kenny Clark and David Bakhtiari both being free agents. I don't know if he can handle that, or if they can handle that, rather. If Aaron Jones has another season like he did a year ago, he will be looking at Derrick Henry money. He will be, absolutely. And no matter what happens in the cap space, this is still going to be a contract acceptable and in the realm of possibility for Aaron Jones. And I've been saying this for months, but I don't think the Packers will be re-signing Aaron Jones, and he will go out and get something of this size. But on the contrary, there's a ton of names that are free agents in the running back field next year. Just to run down a few: Alvin Kamara, James Conner, Aaron Jones, as mentioned, Dalvin Cook, if this deal never gets done with Minnesota, Who else? Todd Gurley's on a one-year deal with Atlanta, and there's more names I'm missing. I mean, Joe Mixon's a free agent after 2020 in Cincinnati. I mean, you've got 8 of the 10 top backs in the NFL on contract years. Zeke and Derrick Henry probably being the only 2 that aren't on contract years. So Aaron Jones' number, just because of Alvin Kamara and Joe Mixon and Todd Gurley and Dalvin Cook and the availability of those guys, maybe Aaron Jones' number does drop to something in the ballpark of $7.5 million or $8 million. And that does allow the Packers to re-sign Clark, Bakhtiari, and Jones. So there was two conflicting facts that are out, right? Obviously, the 2020 free agent class market for running backs, assuming a lot of those guys don't resign, and this Derrick Henry deal, 4 years, $50 million. So we'll see what happens with Aaron Jones. There's talks in the works, but I don't think anything gets done until, if not during the season, after the season, if at all. I'm still on the bandwagon that Aaron Jones will not be a Packer in 2021. I'm not for it. I just think contractually that's what makes sense. Of course, I'd love AJ being a Packer for years and years to come, 4 years after this. But is it realistic? Time will tell is really where we're at right now. Obviously, COVID. But Derrick Henry signing this deal, it makes things really interesting because this is the ballpark number now for Aaron Jones. 4 years, $50 million. Would you sign Aaron Jones to a 4-year, $50 million contract extension, knowing that Bakhtiari and Kenny Clark are on the pay bill after this year? 877-878-7683 is the number if you want to talk about the impending Aaron Jones free agent and contract situation. Again, 877-878-7683 is the number for that. Now, the other big thing about this July 15th deadline yesterday in the franchise tag world is Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys did not reach a deal. Dak will become only the 3rd quarterback ever to play on the franchise tag. And nobody expected this, I don't think. I don't think Dak did. I don't think the Cowboys did. I didn't. I thought they would have a deal in place by July 15th, and they don't. So Dak Prescott is playing on the franchise tag for Mike McCarthy and company in 2020. And this is interesting in all sorts of facets, right? Dak Prescott is a quarterback that will eventually be paid. Will it be by Dallas? We don't know, because this is now a real prove-it year. He's making good money. I think it's $38 million for this franchise tag for Dak Prescott. He's making good money. But we will see what Dallas is able to put together for him. I don't think he'll walk. I think you have that core of Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, and obviously Dak Prescott. I don't think it's a smart move if Jerry Jones lets Dak Prescott walk, because what's your answer? Andy Dalton? Andy Dalton's not the answer. He's never been the answer in Cincinnati, even in those playoff runs. He wasn't the answer last year in their abomination of a season, and neither was A.J. McCarron, so they bring in Joe Burrow, and they trade Andy Dalton to Dallas. But is Andy Dalton the answer for Dallas after 2020? Absolutely not. Andy Dalton is a certified and bona fide backup from this point forward in his NFL career. Bona fide, certified backup. And Dak Prescott's the guy you want under contract if you're Dallas, Jerry Jones and company. He has to be the guy you want under contract. And the fact that they cannot reach this long-term extension by the deadline, they had 2 months to do it. I mean, and then add some. But they had about a month and a half, 2 months between the time he got put on the tag to now, yesterday, and a deal's not done. Sad. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And Dallas needs to lock him up. Unless they think they can go out and get a guy, whether it be in the draft next year or sign a free agent quarterback in the summer of 2021. The spring, rather. But nonetheless, I don't think Dallas is going to let Dak walk. Why would they? Second in the league in passing yards last year, second in passing touchdowns, or third in passing touchdowns, excuse me. Dak Prescott proved his worth last year. And although Dallas didn't win the division, this is the year they got to do it. Under Mike McCarthy, Amari Cooper and Zeke locked up, among a bunch of other contracts they have signed long-term. This is the year you got to do it. And this serves as a prove-it year for Dak. If he can win the NFC East finally, they'll be dumb not to sign him. They'd be dumb not to give him the money he wants. And although that's in the ballpark of $40 million a year, it's what quarterbacks cost now. Look at Kirk Cousins. Aaron Rodgers signed that deal back in 2013 that we thought was ridiculous. And now he's not even in the top 10, top 8 quarterbacks salary-wise. Things change in the salary cap. And this is what quarterbacks are worth right now. And Dak Prescott deserves to get paid, at least in my mind. And Dallas would be dumb not to. And the fact they couldn't reach a deal yesterday just proves that there's trouble brewing already in Dallas for this season. But with Dak on that franchise tag, he has to report to camp. He has to play. He's got his contract in place for the 2020 season. So there won't be a holdout. There won't be an in-season dispute. But there will be this elephant in the room in late July when training camp rolls around, and in early August, and in September when the season finally starts. There's going to be this big elephant in the room surrounding Dak Prescott's impending and ongoing, really, contract situation. A very interesting thing to look at. One other note before we get to a break and Tom Grossi next. Matthew Judon, the pass rusher for Baltimore, is now without a contract after yesterday's deadline. Wasn't even tagged. So Matthew Judon now hits the free market. So that is interesting note out of Baltimore. All right, we're going to take a timeout next. Tom Grossi, YouTube superstar. He's a stand-up comedian. He does a lot. He's next. This is the Alex Strouf Show.
David Bakhtiari. Should the Packers just pay the guy whatever they want or whatever he wants? Should they try to negotiate? Will he get a little bit of a hometown discount? How do you foresee that playing? Because this could go many ways with Bakhtiari.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the fact that he is a top, if not top 3 in the league. I really think that bringing David Bakhtiari back is a priority this offseason. We do some big names along with the Kenny Clark that we have to also make fit in that. The biggest worry that I have is if we sign him for a big amount of money, we won't be able to bring back people like Aaron Jones or Kevin King, which I don't think either one of them may come back. But I really do feel that bringing David Bakhtiari back should be a priority for any team. If you have a left tackle that good, it's going to be a priority. I personally just feel that bringing him back would not only elevate our line with the young people we brought in this draft, but it would also elevate that leadership in the room that we need. So it keeps it at a level we need it at.
Yeah, Bakhtiari is a solid leader on that offensive line. A guy who's protected Aaron Rodgers since 2014, I believe. No, 2012. I can't remember. But Bakhtiari has definitely acted as a professional when coming to talk about his contract. That was a short clip from the Lambeau Lead, Cream City Central's only Packers podcast. Make sure to check it out today.
And we welcome you back into the Alex Strouf Show presented by Cream City Central. And we're about to have some fun because it's impossible not to with the guy we've got on the phone right now. It's Tom Grossi. He's the host of Packast. 94,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's just about the size of Green Bay as a whole, and put it into perspective. So he's got everybody behind him. He joins us now. Tom, how are you, my friend? Thanks for jumping on with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate you having me on. Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think about that. I guess at this point, you could fill Lambeau. Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, so eventually we're going to have you do stand-up in Lambeau Field like Kenny Chesney's putting on a show. It's going to be Tom Grossi doing a stand-up routine.
100%. And I think it'll be really similar to what you're going to see this season. No fans in Lambeau. So, yeah, that'd be my draw. So, yeah, no, I appreciate the confidence that you have in me.
Yeah, I'm not BSing at all. I'm sure you can tell. At least I'd show up, so you'd have more than one person.
they're just be like, hey, buddy, what's going on? And it's like, just Lambeau's just completely empty except for one person. I tell a joke, you sure? It just echoes throughout, the south end zone. Yeah, that'd be because you don't want to spend too much money on tickets, right? Like we're not getting front row here. Like you'd be like south end zone. You found them on, Craigslist for like $15, and then you talk the guy down to 10. That's what I'm thinking my value is at this point. So. Yeah, I think I'm definitely worth a $10 retail ticket.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think I'd more. This is more my style, Tom. I think I'd go to like a shady scalper outside the Rest Center across the street from Lambeau, and he'd probably just give them to me if nobody's showing up. But I'd talk him down to maybe 8. I don't know if I'd pay 10, maybe 8.
Yeah, you know what? That's right, because you don't. $10 that's a whole bill right there. If you can just be like, hey, throw some quarters together and be like, you're not selling them to anybody else. Here's 50 cents. Go buy a gumball. That kind of thing. I think you could really work it out that way too.
I like your style. So talk to me about what this COVID pandemic-esque time has been like for you. I mean, you are a comedian, obviously a content creator. What's going on with you the last 4 months?
Yeah, I mean, COVID has been ravaging through the world / country. But things have never been better for the podcast.
Yeah.
It's crazy because, a couple years ago, when the Packers were terrible, my views shot up because it was all Vikings fans and then Bears fans after they started doing well.
Yeah.
Coming on, just kind of rub the salt in, and then they just never left. And then with this, it's just everybody's home. So I think even the people that are wow, I cannot tolerate his voice for more than 5 minutes. They're there's nothing else on. So, they really can't go anywhere. So I feel like I've just trapped a lot of people in this space for the past 4 months. So the podcast has been doing really, really well.
Yeah, I see that. 23 hours ago, what do we got? 19,000 on the 2021 free agent running back class that we were just talking about right before you hopped on. So yeah, you're doing really well. It's great to see you doing big things and making the most of this really, really weird time.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. So I was at a leave replacement for teaching up until the draft. It was literally the day of the draft was my last day, and with everything crazy going on, it goes what's going to happen this season? Because right now, we've been putting out content at least 5 days a week since August of 2019. We're still going, mid-July. So it's going to be interesting to see how much longer I can do that, especially if there's no football, because that's when we're going to have to start getting real creative and start talking about cricket.
Yeah. What do you know about cricket? That was actually on my question list.
I think they have it's not a bat, but it's a rectangular stick.
It looks like a spanking paddle almost, Tom. It looks like a spanking paddle.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's I read it. I think one time some guy made a catch and they're like, that's a great catch. And I was like, okay, I believe them. So that's as much as I know about the game cricket. And you know what? I'm looking forward to really immersing myself in the sport and becoming a diehard cricketer.
Tom Grossi, my guest. I can't keep a damn straight face for, oh, geez. So I guess, on that cricket note, Tom, what have you been watching, right? We had Tiger King way back in March, but what has been filling the sports void for you the last 4 months?
It's funny. Netflix has, it's gotten me through some stuff. I actually never even saw Tiger King. I know, I'm behind. I'm
really?
Sorry. Yeah.
That's your homework assignment.
Yeah, exactly. I just saw that, it was a tiger, and that's pretty close to a lion. So I just stayed away from it. But for the kind of what's been getting me through, The Last of Us 2, played that game, enjoyed that. Haven't played a video game in I don't even know how long. So that was the first one in a while. But honestly, the show has kind of kept me sane because it has kept me on a schedule. I wake up, do what I have to do, spend hours researching, recording, editing, etc., putting it out there. And at that point, it's good because I get to sink as much time as I want to in it. So that's really kind of what kept me sane, and as well kind of kept me away from my wife, who has appreciated that, because if we were 4 months joined at the hip, there probably would be some exoduses from the house. So that was, it definitely has saved my marriage and my career.
That's great to hear, especially the former. the marriage saving. That's good. We don't want you. If you had a divorce, Tom, how different would your content be? Would you just be depressed and mopey instead of your upbeat self?
Here's the thing. It would just be, I would just not eat and just literally just be like 24/7, Packast. Even if there's no football, like I would be like mid-December and I'd be like, you know what, guys, I went outside and felt a blade of grass today and, do like a 20-minute episode on that blade of grass. Like maybe like start a cooking show. Maybe like unboxing I hear is pretty popular. I can get back into like Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something and do like pack openings. I'm sure that's still a thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could get like super creative. It would just get really weird and like just random outbursts of tears. So I think that would be really compelling content.
I agree with you, and I would watch it. Maybe that would boost your ratings even more if you were just. No, I'm just kidding. Let's not go down that path.
That's the contingency plan. So like we got a if the marriage works out folder, and then we got the if the marriage doesn't work out folder. So either way, we're going full speed ahead.
Oh man, you were terrific, Tom Grossi, my guest. Tell me which fan base whose nerves you get on the most. Is it the Bears?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
So which fan base hates me the most?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. You know what? It's interesting because like I have found over the years, like I have a really big Bears and Vikings fan base.
Yeah.
And I find that like when my content gets posted like on their subreddit, like Bears fans are, I feel like a little less welcoming, but like I've gotten some of the nicest compliments ever from Vikings fans. I'm like, I hate your team. But I feel like it's sometimes even my own fan base. Like there's like I would say a solid amount of Packers fans that are just like, I hate this person because they were like, why does this person have so many followers? Which I ask of myself every day.
Yeah.
But if anything, I feel like maybe the Seahawks, maybe.
Okay.
Just because that is the team that I hate the most, and I constantly bring that up how much I hate them.
So I guess while we're on that topic, Russell Wilson, a 97 in Madden. I don't know if you're a Madden player or not, Tom, but he's about what did Rodgers come in? I think he was an 87, so 10 overall points more than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, listen, I will say that Russell Wilson could have won MVP last year. The guy played his ass off, and I will say I like Russell Wilson. He's like the bright spot on that team for me. The rest of them just go away, but. I like Russell Wilson. He does amazing things for the community, like visits kids in the hospital, etc. But yeah, I think he's well deserving of that. I think, Rodgers at an 89 is snubbed a little bit, but it's all well and good because we beat them last year in the playoffs. So at the end of the day, do the Madden rankings really matter when we beat your team?
You're absolutely spot on. I was at that game, Tom. I was drunk as hell, and I cried at the end of it as snow started falling. It was one of the best moments of my life, I think.
So, you know what? On that note, okay, so I'm assuming you're in the Wisconsin-ish area.
Yes, right? I grew up in Green Bay. I live in Stevens Point now, which is right in the middle of the state.
Yes, okay, perfect. So what was the temperature approximately when you were at that game?
I think it fell to I don't know if it broke zero. The wind chill did, of course. I want to say it was around like
cold as balls.
Yeah, it was cold as balls. It was like 15 degrees maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't feel my feet for like a day after that.
Oh yeah, see that's the thing. You got to stand on cardboard. That's it, because that concrete just right up through you.
Yeah.
So here's my question for you. All that being said, were you intoxicated in the parking lot, or was it a process throughout the game?
So, okay, I don't remember what time the game was at exactly. I think it was like 6 o'clock. I think I woke up at 8 a.m. and started drinking then, and then I continued to drink at the games. I mean, it didn't stop. And then I went to the after party, of course, when we could still go to bars, packed bars, that is. So it was a process. I love how this interview is flipped to you asking me questions. That's good.
100%, because I have a follow-up question. So
yes, go ahead. No, as much as you want.
Okay. So years ago, the 2016 wild card with the Giants and the Packers. So I was at that game, the good old Cobb Hail Mary.
Yep.
And I made the mistake. So I flew in and I got like my flight was at 2 o'clock in the morning, flew into Milwaukee, drove up there, and then went to the game. And I made the mistake after halftime, after that Hail Mary. I was like, oh man, I got to celebrate. I got to go get a beer, right? As one does.
Correct.
So I shelled out, like $12 for like a Miller Lite. And I have to say, it was one of the worst beer experiences I ever had. Not because of the taste or anything. It's Miller Lite, whatever.
The price.
It was so freaking cold that it literally was like icicles going down my esophagus, and I felt it going down my chest. So to explain that and to get to my question, how in the hell do, like, at some point, like, do you just have to be drunk before you get to the game to not feel that pain? And that was my rookie mistake because I was driving like an idiot.
Yeah.
Or like, is there a way to kind of circumvent the Mr. Freeze in my esophagus?
Wow, that is an elaborate question, Tom. Okay, so being a Wisconsinite, yes, I will. Being a Wisconsinite, I will say I am a pretty darn good drinker. Now, is this a New York thing that maybe you weren't used to drinking beer in the cold? I mean, it gets cold in New York, so I don't know.
Actually, it's the opposite. So, like, here's the thing. I went to school up in New Paltz, which is like upstate-ish New York.
Okay.
And that's what we would do. We would drink our tails off, and then we would walk to the bars without jackets, like usually in short sleeves because no one wants to lose their jacket at the bar. And we would walk to the bars, and it was fine, like, and you got it. But I feel like the thing I did then is I pre-gamed beforehand, so I was already on my way off the cliff. And I didn't do that with Green Bay, and I was wondering if that was my fatal flaw.
So did you not tailgate much? I mean, but you're still outside for tailgating, so I feel like it would still be very cold.
I didn't tailgate at all. No,
okay, well that's your first mistake. That's your first mistake. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because I want to know for future reference, maybe when we're ever able to, like, go out in public again,
right?
To kind of redeem myself a bit.
No, I get it, man. I get it. Yeah. When you're back here, you give me a call and I'll teach you how to drink like a Wisconsinite. How's that sound?
Okay, that sounds great. I have never had a spotted cow.
Oh my goodness, Tom.
Trust me. I know. I need to rectify it. I mean, like, so listen, like, I'm a hot mess. Like, I'm allergic to cheese, right? Like,
what is going on here?
Like, 100%. Yeah, it's the ultimate irony of my life. But it was either I became a Cowboys fan or a Giants fan or a Jets fan or a Packers fan.
Don't do any of that.
I obviously chose at least one thing correctly. Blame my father. Listen, because he gave me terrible genes. Not my fault.
Yep. Fair.
Don't blame.
All right, Tom, we're running out of time, but I want you to plug the channel, plug your stand-up, and everything you got going on.
I feel like we learned a lot in this interview.
We have. It's been really, really fun. See, I call these conversations because that's exactly what you and I just had.
That's it. That's it. Check out Tom Grossi everywhere. It's on the YouTube. You try to find Packast on all the podcast sites. Yeah, you can follow me, but you don't have to. It's a free country. You can do what you gotta do. But if you do, hey.
I'm going to tell you this much before I hang up on you. You are welcome back anytime because I haven't laughed that hard in a couple days. So I really appreciate you taking 15 minutes, Tom.
Absolutely, Alex. I appreciate you having me.
That's Tom Grossi, creator of Packast. He's hilarious on every level. Oh my goodness. I need to we need to go to commercials so I can go pee because he made me laugh so hard. All right. So that's what we're going to do. Headlines. And we got hour 2 coming up. I'll intro the hour when we get there. This is the Alex Strouf Show.
And the schedules are supposed to come out tonight for this wonderful 60-game season we're about to endure. However, rumor has it that we are starting off against the Chicago Cubs.
Is that good or bad for us?
Honestly, I kind of expected it because we were supposed to start out this normal season against the Cubs, so I'm not really shocked that happened, but, I mean, I'm down.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I'm not scared of the Cubs.
No.
We're taking the series. You heard it here first.
See, look, you just doing a projection.
Well, yeah, but I didn't have to look at the numbers, so I just said it from my heart of hearts. And we'll look back on this in a few weeks, and we'll see if I was right.
Okay.
Who's our day one starter?
Brandon Woodruff. I don't think there's any question for that.
Brandon Woodruff.
However, I would entertain the thought of having an opener.
No. Sorry, I had a mouthful of soda.
Wow. The face of health right there.
Yeah, it's not good. We've talked about my Red Bull addiction before.
Bernie's Bums, the official Brewers podcast of CreamCityCentral.com. Download wherever you get your podcasts today.
I'm going to read you a quote from one of Giannis's teammates, and then, using your wealth of superstar NBA experience, you are going to read between the lines and tell us if we can actually learn anything from what this teammate has said. So first up, this is from Pat Connaughton on March 31st, so just a few weeks ago. He says, obviously the city of Milwaukee, the team, everyone wants Giannis to be here forever. But Giannis has put himself in a position to provide for his family from growing up with nothing in Greece. I don't think you can fault Giannis for whatever decision he ends up making, that he believes is the best decision for him, his family, the people who are closest to him.
Yo, Pat's a smart dude. Pat's trying to get on teams with Giannis in the future wherever Giannis ends up. Pat is not trying to ruffle feathers. Pat is giving a massage right there. That's my gut.
And can you blame him?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, he's a 6'5" white dude who relies on his athleticism. Yeah, I mean, how much of a career does he have left?
There's a ceiling. There's a ceiling. Yeah, man. Of course.
All right, Pat's playing the long game. Small Ball, Milwaukee Bucks Micro Podcast, presented by Cream City Central. Download wherever you get your podcasts.
Loud, unfiltered, and live nationwide. It's the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central.
This is where things get a little tricky. I think the team that voted no today is going to be a playoff team.
From the WWSP 90 FM studios in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, here's Alex Strouf.
Here I am. This is the Alex Strouf Show.
Have you recovered? Are you good?
What?
Have you recovered from the interview?
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. This is the Alex Strouf Show presented by Cream City Central. Right back at it. We are with you for the next hour. We've got 1 hour left until the 29th of July, so we are going to try to hit it home as good as we can. I am Alex Strouf, hanging with you for the next hour alongside, as always, producer Kyle. And he is here with the headlines. Hit me.
Oh, yeah. It's been a not so fun day to be a sports fan. Started off here. 72 NFL players have tested positive for our world famous COVID-19.
Our world famous indeed. So the takeaway from this is, right, they did the math, about 90 players per roster. It boils down to about 2.5.
Well, see, I want to bring that up because they haven't tested every player.
Oh.
So you don't know how many people they've actually tested. So the number is hard to actually put into context because how have they tested 100 players? Have they tested all whatever number you were about to say? It's hard to say. So you can't really come up with a good, percent positive
Well, regardless,
figure.
it is 2.5% of the current players in the league.
Yes.
I mean, nonetheless, that still boils down to that, right?
Yeah. Now, I also want to point out, too, that the NFL Players Association provided players with a market-by-market look at how the virus has been spreading in cities.
Yeah.
And Green Bay is about middle of the pack right now. Obviously, with cases rising, that's going to fluctuate back and forth. But as of right now, Miami is the hottest spot among NFL markets with the virus, which doesn't surprise
LA
anybody.
too?
Yep. Miami, LA, San Francisco are all big markets.
Is New York isn't technically listed because they play in New Jersey, right?
Nope. No. I'm glad you brought that up because the Patriots are the lowest out of all the 32 teams right now, which Bill Belichick runs his magic again somehow. He'll use it to his advantage some way.
Yeah.
But the other low-end markets include the Jets and Giants because they are, East Rutherford is where they technically play. And then the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions round out the top four teams with the best outlook right now in terms of the virus in NFL markets.
Their respective markets, right.
Yeah. And that's taking a look at a 14-day average of cases. That's how they use that number. So,
gotcha.
A little bit depressing. I got even more depressing news. This is just coming out as we're doing the show. This is a statement by NCAA President Mark Emmert. He is not optimistic about college sports in the fall. This is the exact quote. I'm going to read it for you. Today, sadly, the data point is in the wrong direction. If there is to be college sports, we need to get a much better handle on the pandemic.
Look, and that's realistic, right?
Yeah.
And that's what that's what we've been dealing with. And we talked about it a little bit on Tuesday, and we'll talk about it again here. It's not going to – you can't do a bubble for college sports. No. You can't do a bubble for the NFL. If we want this to work, you got to wear a damn mask. I'm sorry, it's that easy. And exactly, if you want sports, you got to wear a mask. And I hope that we can somehow get a grip, but it's not looking good. I said on Tuesday, my hopes aren't high for an NFL season anymore, dropping by the day because of how the numbers are going and are fluctuating in the wrong direction. So really not fun stuff. And I think Emmert is in the right boat here, unfortunately.
It's tough. I mean, we've already seen conferences, I should say, already take away non-conference games. Big Ten and Pac-12 are the two that come to mind right away. Yeah. It's a harsh reality that we got to face, and it sucks. But
Facts.
I hate using the saying, but it is what it is. I mean, it really nothing else you can say about that.
No, right. I mean, we're speechless on this one. I mean, it's about as.
I mean, at least for me. I mean, for me at least, and I know you are as well. At least somewhat of a fan of the UFC, and they're putting on events. They're promoting events and all that. NASCAR is going on. I believe NASCAR had the biggest fan attendance or like crowd for a sporting event since the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh wow!
Last night they had I don't know if it was the actual race, but they had NASCAR All-Star race in Bristol, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. They had the largest crowd at a sporting event which would have been like March 12th or March 11th, since sports paused. So,
yeah.
I mean, you see a little bit of hope here and there, but as far as, NFL is concerned, NCAA especially, it's not looking good, and it sucks, but I know in the Green Bay area they canceled, or at least the Packers, they canceled all preseason events for fans.
Yeah,
so the bike ride is done.
Training camp, bike riding as a whole, but training camp, no fans. Family night's not happening.
Family night is happening, but they're not going to have fans.
So they'll probably broadcast it.
So they'll broadcast it on TV. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Which I won't watch it.
I was never really a fan of family night. I mean, it's good for families.
Families, yeah.
But, I mean. But it's not, when you're a diehard fan, it's like, okay, it's just a glorified training camp scrimmage.
Exactly, and but it's in Lambeau, which is cool, and people, right? I mean, that's the whole draw.
You won't get it anywhere else. You don't get 70,000 fans for a training camp scrimmage anywhere else. I'll tell you that.
The Bears have a half-empty stadium when they do it. So,
the Bears have a half-empty stadium for regular season games too. So, nothing out of the ordinary.
Kyle on the attack! Woo! What we got?
All right. I got a little bit of lighter news. Nike. Now last year, Giannis and Nike had released the Zoom Freak ones, which I have a pair of.
Oh, good for you! Very classy.
Yeah.
Very, very hip. You are.
I'm with the crowd.
You are, buddy.
Yeah.
The middle schoolers probably think you're dope.
Anyways, I don't know how I can come back from that. So Nike is releasing the Zoom Freak 2s. I say soon, but I actually
are you gonna get them?
I'm back and forth on it.
Okay.
The pricing, I've heard a couple different reports. Forbes has them listed as $120.
That ain't bad.
Bleacher Report has them listed as $130. If they're $120, I'll consider it more. If you're $130, it's kind of.
Dude, I'll give you the $10. I will give you the $10 if that's really what's going to draw you away. And
I've never spent $100 on a pair of shoes before until last year.
I think that's interesting you bring it up. I haven't bought a pair of shoes in, I want to say 3 years. I've been wearing the same kicks. I have 2 pairs of kicks that I rotate, and then I'm wearing sandals that are flip-flops. I guess. Hold on, you tell me. I'm not going to put my foot on the screen because that will get weird.
I mean, I wouldn't mind.
Are these sandals?
I call those slides.
Okay, so I have a pair of slides that I wear, and then I have 2 pairs of tennis shoes. I think is what white people call them, and that's what I have. But I've had them for like 3 years. I don't really buy shoes.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because I'm going to bring up a comment here, not from our show, but it's just a comment that I've seen. going back to kind of the NBA bubble a little bit, and you know how basketball players are so in their shoes, and they have multiple different kinds of shoes.
Yeah.
Well, Houston Rockets, I don't know if he's a guard or whatever position he plays. PJ Tucker brought 91 sneakers with him to Orlando for the bubble.
Wow.
So
91.
I mean, I don't think I've worn 91 different pairs of shoes in my life.
Yeah, I definitely haven't. Maybe half. Well, what's half of 91? 40,
46.
45 and a half, 46. Yeah. Oh, I don't even know if I've had half.
I think I've worn maybe 30.
I think that's probably I played basketball as a kid, so I always had basketball shoes.
Yeah.
As well as my normal. I'm probably in that 40 bubble, that 40 mark. 91. That's NBA stuff right there, dude. And that's what Travis Diener was alluding to, right? These guys complaining in the bubble, but this is their job. They're getting paid every 2 weeks, and they can afford 91 pairs of shoes in a hotel room.
Well, I mean, 91? He has more than 91 pairs. If he only brought 91 with him, he's got to have probably 200.
Well, most NBA players use a new pair of shoes every game day, right? Isn't that kind of usually the case? That's crazy.
My guess, yeah. And I know they give them away a lot too, and whatever. But I want to bring up what the shoes actually, the Zoom Freak 2s actually look like.
Oh yeah, do you have a picture?
I do. So this is what they call the Naiji. I'm botching it completely.
Yeah, that's fine.
The Naiji colorway. I love the colors, the green and black. I vibe. I guess it goes back to Giannis's Nigerian ancestors and descent. Which is where he gets the colorway from. Now, these are releasing on July 25th. So we got 9 days until they're released. So if you want to pick yours up, I mean, Foot Locker, not a sponsor, but if you want to, I mean, that's where I got my Freak ones last year was Foot Locker. Right. Well, and then they also have a black-white colorway, which I don't have a picture of.
That would be my style. All of my shoes are either gray or black.
Yeah, exactly. Same here.
I'm not flashy.
The black and whites are released August 7th, and those are ones I have from the Freak ones or the black-white ones. So that's
I like those. I mean, they're cool shoes nonetheless. I like those.
Yeah.
Very
nice. That's what I got.
All right, great. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate your presence. So let's take a look at the Twitter poll here as we gear up for Justin Garcia, who's the studio host on the Milwaukee Bucks Radio Network. Our Twitter poll at Cream City Central today is which Eastern Conference team poses the biggest threat to the Bucks to diminish their championship hopes. Kyle with the sentence of the freaking year there. I mean, unbelievable. Kyle really digging into the dictionary here today. Which Eastern Conference team is the Bucks' greatest threat to diminish their championship hopes? You know Kyle dug out an almanac for that. He dug out a dictionary. I mean, you know Kyle didn't know the word diminish before 3 hours ago. Come on. Anyway, poll sits at this. 69 votes. Very nice. Celtics, 33%. Raptors, 23%. Heat, 42%. That's where I went as well. I went with the Heat. Look, the Heat have that intensity. They have the type of style of play that match up with the Bucks. It's the team that they have had the most trouble with. So I go with the Heat. I think the Heat, obviously, Eric Spoelstra, their coach, terrific coach. So the Heat leading the way at 42%. That poll's got about 35 minutes left at Cream City Central to vote on that. So would love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to chime in. But we go to the phone lines now as a good friend of mine, a guy that really knows his stuff in both basketball and WWE joins me. His name is Justin Garcia. He's the studio host of the Milwaukee Bucks Radio Network. Justin, my friend, how are you? Oh, no. I don't have Justin. Well, we'll try to figure that out. Oh, there we go. Justin, you got me?
I got you.
Oh, there we go. Now I've got you. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I mean, it's been a weird 4 months for sure. What's new on your end? You staying safe, staying healthy?
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's finally here, and I remember when we first heard about the plan for the restart, and everybody got excited, and then you looked at the calendar and realized, wait a minute, it's still 2 months that we have to pass before we get back to any sports, not just basketball. But we've waited it out, and now it's finally here. It's next week that the teams are going to start their scrimmages.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's flying by, and these numbers, COVID-wise, are obviously concerning. But the bubble, it's doing okay. We've got Instagram models maybe sneaking in. We've got dudes getting sentenced to 10-day timeouts for ordering McDonald's from Uber Eats. I mean, all sorts of stuff going down in the bubble. But so far, so good with a question mark.
Yeah, and I know when the plan was first unveiled, I was a little critical and thought we didn't really get a whole lot of information initially, which was fair in that there was still a lot to work out, and I assumed that we would start to hear some of those details later.
Yeah,
when we didn't is when you started to kind of panic and think, well, is their plan that they don't actually have a plan other than, hey, we're starting in the end of July? But I've been privy to a few other things in terms of protocol, and we just had a call earlier today to walk us through some of the things that they're doing in the bubble. And, hearing that and seeing that firsthand, and then hearing some of the takeaways from somebody much better versed in it than you or I and Dr. Anthony Fauci, those concerns have kind of dissipated for me. That really what this is going to boil down to is some of the things that you mentioned just a couple of minutes ago and how seriously the players take this, because, everything on the floor and everything day of game, the NBA has done a really good job of taking everything into consideration and making this as safe as possible and limiting as much contact as you can possibly have. It's just the things like you mentioned of who's going to leave the campus, if anybody, and who's going to, start to break some of those protocols. I think the one thing you would have to be a little leery of just with human nature is, what happens in a month or two when these guys have essentially been in a hotel for a month or two. And, you may not be doing it on purpose, but there has to be in the back of your mind a concern of, will some of these guys start to get lax just because that fatigue sets in? And, you subconsciously just want to drift back to what you're used to doing around teammates.
Absolutely. Justin Garcia, my guest, studio host of the Milwaukee Bucks Radio Network. And Justin, we had Jim Paschke on late last month, and he had no idea what the heck was going on, right? He had no idea what the situation was. And now you mentioned some of those things have become clearer, for you. What's the radio network going to look like? Is Ted Davis going to be down there? Or how's this going to work? What's the dynamic?
No, so Ted and I are going to be doing all the games from Fiserv Forum. So the league is set up every arena that they have to send these feeds that they have of the three courts in Orlando to send those feeds directly to the home arenas. So the broadcast teams will be doing it from there, and we'll get access to, everything you can imagine. So it'll be in that sense as close to normal as we're used to, where we're still, seeing everything in front of us and still have access to some of the perks and in-game things you get, like the statistics crew and everything else.
Right.
But just in terms of, the actual broadcast, it's going to be a lot different. And I think for the better in that, we just had a call earlier today that I mentioned where the league walked through all of these new things that they're doing. And frankly, they're things that fans have been calling for years, and, changes to things like NBA League Pass and how the game is going to be sent out and able to be consumed, where they built 36 microphones underneath each of the three floors. So that's going to pick up, everything that you're hearing on the floor. They're going to have a feed with a delay and without a delay. So you'll be able to hear everything the players are saying. They've added microphones to the backboards. So you're going to get everything, right?
Wow.
TV, there's 20 plus new cameras and camera feeds that they're working in. They're incorporating a lot of digital things and fan experience, where about 300 fans of each team are going to be a part of each broadcast. And they're, like I said, doing a lot of changes to NBA League Pass as well. So, it's unfortunate. This isn't what we wanted, but it presented the league a chance to really change some things. And, everybody on the call earlier today, and I think after looking at some of this stuff, I agree, is of the mindset of this gave us the opportunity to really change a lot in how our fans consume the game. And these are probably going to be changes we see permanently moving forward.
That was my follow-up question. How this changes, even if eventually we live in a COVID-less world, fingers crossed on that, but eventually we do, right? A lot of these things will seem like no-brainers, right? You don't need to send Ted and Jim to Atlanta, right? And vice versa. So it's going to be weird moving forward in a good way, I guess.
Yeah. And, and that's something we've already started to see somewhat depending on the team where, in recent years, we've seen some teams, broadcast teams, not even make the trip to games in London or, we didn't see that with the Bucks in the London or Paris game, but we've seen that with a few NBA teams, and you're seeing it more and more with lower level college. So it is, the things that I think are going to change that maybe a more difficult adjustment for people in broadcasting and people in the media. And then what does that mean for some of the things you're accustomed to as a fan is what we'll have to reexamine is the things immediately after the game is played. Things like a walk-off interview and locker room availability. We know that is, clearly not going to be anything close to what we're used to for these final few games in the playoffs. But, you wonder if we're just never going to see that type of stuff again, where before the league shut down, we saw teams and the league was starting to take the steps and say, okay, we're going to have to limit people in locker rooms. We're going to have to limit some of these scrums and everything else. Those things may be gone as we know them permanently.
It is an interesting time we're living in, Justin. It is unbelievable. Let's talk basketball though. Let's get into the happier stuff. What have the players been saying about the bubble experience? Obviously, not all of them are down there yet. We're waiting on Bledsoe for sure. But what's been the verdict, if you will, from the players and coaches?
You haven't seen, at least in terms of the Bucks, you haven't really seen a whole lot of negativity. And I think there was probably some directive that was sent out after you started to see comments from Rajon Rondo about, let's make sure we don't seem like we're ungrateful millionaires here, because you've seen a lot more players. Malcolm Brogdon was one of them. Tweet out how grateful they are that the league was able to set something up like this.
Yeah.
And Chris Middleton was on that list too. So you haven't really heard any of the complaints that you heard initially. And, the guy who it seems like has been the most vocal so far is Robin Lopez, where if you want to know what's going on in the bubble, he's tweeting it out every day, what he's doing off the court, what practice looks like, their setup on the floor. So if you really want to get inside that bubble before, some of the local reporters start to make their way down there, Robin Lopez is the guy to follow now.
Nice. So fundamentally, dynamic wise, obviously, chemistry is going to be weird for these guys. They haven't played together in a real 5-on-5 setting in 4 or 5 months almost by the time we get back to things. What level of concern does that bring? I mean, obviously it's an equal playing field where every team has that working against them. But for Milwaukee in particular, are there any concerns of that degree for you, Justin?
I think because it's an equal playing field and it's something that every team is dealing with, not as much. And, the other thing is the Bucks are very fortunate and, really the most fortunate team in the league in this regard, in that these 8 games, seeding games, as the league is calling them, they mean nothing for the Bucks. Right. They would, for them to lose the top seed, they would basically need to go 0-8 and the Raptors go 7-1. So it's all but a lock that they're going to hold on to the top seed, so they can use these 8 games, and I would expect them to, as basically glorified preseason games. Not to take anything away from who the opponent is in the first round of the playoffs, but there's a good chance it's going to be the Brooklyn Nets, and that's another area you look at where you think, okay, not to say that that's preseason games as well, but that's not a test that you may have had to run into in previous years, especially as we see players continue to drop off for the Nets. So they're in a fortunate spot where they really have even more time than most teams to work that stuff out and get up to speed. But because it's something that every team you would think is going to deal with, it's ultimately going to boil down to talent. So it's going to be interesting to see how teams adjust to that. And really the biggest thing that I'm intrigued to see is what does all this mean for playoff rotations, where we're used to seeing maybe 8 in some cases, but 9, no more than 10 guys regularly used. Well, because of conditioning and everything else, I mean, does this mean this is the weird year where you have 13 guys that dress and all 13 of them play? If that's the case, that's another area where that's a big advantage for the Bucks.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, and depth obviously going to be an interesting and has been an interesting headline going into the bubble. Justin Garcia, studio host of the Milwaukee Bucks Radio Network, is my guest. A couple more for you, Justin. Our Twitter question of the day today was, which Eastern Conference team poses the largest threat to the Bucks championship hopes? Our options: Celtics, Raptors, Heat, or other. Which one do you fall into?
Well, what's the consensus so far?
Heat is the big winner right now, actually.
Wow.
That's the direction I went. So I'm not so surprised, because I think the Heat do pose quite a interesting matchup for the Bucks. But go ahead.
Well, so I've kind of gone back and forth whenever I've gotten this question since we shut down on 2 teams, and that's the Celtics and the 76ers.
Okay.
At this point, because, it's still kind of cloudy in terms of what's going on with his health, and the more info you gather, it doesn't seem good for Kemba Walker.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I'm inclined to say it's the 76ers. Okay. They've already started to make some changes that people have been calling for a while, where when they return to practice, Ben Simmons is no longer the point guard. He's a power forward. They've been taking Al Horford out of the starting lineup. You look at the numbers with Al Horford and Joel Embiid on the floor together, it's a disaster for Philadelphia. Shake Milton was a guy that started to play really, really well when Ben Simmons was hurt, so he's in the starting lineup as the team's point guard now. You do have to question that rust and layoff that you brought up. Is that going to be a factor with him there? But still, Philadelphia is the team where if they can get it together, the talent that they have and some of the matchups they have, and we saw what happened on Christmas Day, that's a team that seems like, if you had to pick one, that would be the team I would pick and say, that's who I would like to avoid at all costs if I'm the Bucks. And the other thing with that is we've seen how disastrous they've been on the road. So that's going to be interesting to see how these games play out, because it depends on how you view this. Is this a road game for every team, or is this, not a road game, but not a home game? So in that case, does that make Philadelphia even more formidable, because they don't have to worry about those adverse environments and playing technically road games?
Great insight as always. And before I let you go, we got about 90 seconds, Justin. I need kind of your overview on the wrestling world right now, if you can fit that into about 90 seconds.
90 seconds. So I'm disappointed. I've taken the last month and tried to re-examine my life and what I'm doing with it, and that hasn't included Monday Night Raw or SmackDown in that month. So I've kind of started to lapse in my fandom. Now, I do try to keep up on Wednesday nights with NXT and AEW, but, we talk about really missing sports. I mean, you can make a strong case during this pandemic. Nobody has been hit harder than the world of professional wrestling, because try watching some of these shows without fans, and it's pretty tough.
I'm with you. I haven't turned on Raw or SmackDown in at least a month and a half. But so we're on the same page. Hopefully we get some good stuff back, but it's been rough. You're absolutely right, Justin. Really appreciate the time, and next time we chat, let's hope it's Eastern Conference Final or Finals time.
Yeah, let's hope so.
All right, appreciate it. That's Justin Garcia, studio host of the Milwaukee Bucks Radio Network, bringing all the great insight, man. He's about up to snuff as much as anybody in the world of the Milwaukee Bucks. All right, next, I picked every single game of the 2020 NFL season, and instead of doing this solo, I've brought a friend who some of you will recognize to make fun of me as we break down my division winners, my playoff picks, and eventually my July Super Bowl pick before we get to the 13-day break that is ahead of us. We're going to take a break. We'll do that next. This is the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central.
And we finally have baseball back.
Baseball's back.
It's back, and I would like to say better than ever, but that's to be determined.
Well, who knows? Maybe this might be fun. This will be a fun season. I have no doubt about that. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but I'm just excited for, just that Rob Manfred finally came to his senses and gave us a season.
Yeah, gave the people something they want. Did something right.
So the details came out. It's going to be a 60-game season, which I honestly think benefits the Brewers. What is it? 10 games against each division opponent. I'm assuming 5 home, 5 away. And then the remaining games are going to be against, for the Brewers at least, it'll be against the AL Central opponents.
Yeah, and I believe it'll be 4 per team, because then that'll equal the remaining 20.
Yeah, so honestly, do you agree with me that the Brewers benefit from a shorter season?
It's interesting that you say that, because one of the first things when I started to think about a shorter season was how the Brewers are going to be able to use their pitching staff. And I'm really intrigued on what Craig Counsell is going to come up with every day for how he's going to utilize this staff. I'm just really excited about kind of the strategy that we can play into that. Also, the DH. That's huge. That extends a lot of people's careers, especially in the NL. So a lot of good things could really come out of this for sure.
Bernie's Bums, the official Brewers podcast of CreamCityCentral.com. Download wherever you get your podcasts today.
Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central.
Oh, yeah, baby. We're feeling good. Victor Hensley joining me on the Alex Strouf Show. What's up, brother? How are you?
How you doing, my friend? I like your shirt, by the way. Is this your vacation shirt?
Yeah, I'm actually not going on vacation. People keep thinking I'm going mid-COVID vacation. Comment from earlier. Johnny Bahama called me. He needs his dad's shirt back. Thanks, Matt. So I'm not going on vacation. But yes, this is why I wore it, right? It's the last show. Got to go with a bang. I also thought there was a mental reasoning behind this, and I'll explain this on air because who cares? So since we're on video, right? I figured it would be more intriguing to click and listen to the dude wearing a beach. What do they call these? Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
Yes. It'd be more intriguing to click and listen to a guy wearing a Hawaiian shirt rather than, if I wore a button up or just a normal t-shirt. I don't think it worked, but I tried and I like this shirt a lot. So
it actually made me want to click away.
Okay.
You invited me onto the show when I saw you had that shirt on, and I was like, I'm gonna have to call in sick. But then Kyle had to talk me into it. So I like Kyle enough that I decided to show up.
You are such a sweetheart. He just threw up one of these for you. If it means anything. All right. So this is the segment I invited you on for because I figured you'd probably rip me apart or make me explain. So I'm going to fly through the records. I will give you the playoff teams. And then if you have a team you're curious about, I guess, I'll tell you their final record. So to give you, the viewer, an overview of what we did, there's a nice little website. I don't know what it's called. Otherwise, I'd plug it. That allows you to pick every single game in the NFL season, all 17 weeks, and then the playoffs. I did that. So AFC or NFC first, Vic?
You know what? Because most of your listeners are probably Wisconsinites, we'll go NFC last. So let's go at AFC.
All right. So I'm gonna go the 1 through 7 seeds and the records, and then if you're curious where other teams came into play, I will let you do this. I did pick one tie this year, and I'll tell you who that was between. No team here. Let me look at the low win count. The least amount of wins that I picked was 3, and the most amount of wins I picked was 13. So pretty good year. Good parity going on. All right. So the 1 seed is the Chiefs at 13-3, best record in the NFL. 2nd seed is the Ravens. Your Ravens, 12-4.
Nice.
3 seed is the Bills at 10-6. 4 seed is the Colts at 9-7. The 5 seed is the Patriots at 8-8. The 6 seed is the Broncos at 8-8. And the 7 seed is the Texans at 8-8. Okay, so again, your playoff teams in the AFC in order: Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Colts, Patriots, Broncos, Texans. Those are my 7 playoff teams in the AFC. Your thoughts?
I mean, first, off the top of my head, I'm confused on how 3 teams that are 8-8 make the playoffs. Is it going to be that down of a year for the AFC?
Yeah, it's a parity year, man. It's a parity year. A lot of good matchups, right? So I think I had a couple other 8-8 teams. Let me look here. No, Jets went 7-9, Titans went 7-9, Steelers went 7-9, Browns went 8-8 and didn't make the playoffs. And
I'm really confused about the Titans and the Steelers and why you don't have them in there.
See, I think the
Broncos.
I'm high on the Broncos.
Going the Broncos in there.
I'm high on the Broncos.
You think it's Drew Lock's here? You think he's going to come?
I love Drew Lock, man. Ever since he was, who was he rapping to? Was it Yeezy or somebody?
Like it was Jeezy. Yeah,
Jeezy.
Jeezy.
Yeah. He was just rapping on the sidelines. Ever since that, he's won me over. I love Drew Lock.
So you probably have never seen the guy play ever.
Oh,
You're just
Missouri,
know what?
Dude, Missouri, absolutely. I've seen him play. I've known that name for years.
How many Missouri games were you watching?
But he's been the starting wasn't he the starting quarterback for 3 or 4 years there? And he was always in the way too early Heisman list. He was an entertaining quarterback.
No, he's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, especially
they add Melvin Gordon and Jerry Jeudy to that offense. So I like him.
You're not wrong. The Steelers, though, you think the Steelers are going to go 7-9? 7-9.
Yeah, I think they take 3rd place in the North.
So they're going to do worse this year than they did last year.
Yes.
Even though they have Ben Roethlisberger this year.
Mike Tomlin's getting fired this year.
Okay, cool. All right, NFC. Let's hear
All right. The 1 seed in the NFC is the Seattle Seahawks at 12-4. The 2 seed, Saints 11-5. 3 seed, Packers 11-5. 4 seed, Cowboys at 10-6. 5 seed, Cardinals at 10-6. All right.
Okay.
6 seed, Vikings at 10-6. And the 7 seed, the Eagles at 9-7. No 49ers.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Victor, a little history fact for you here. The last 2 NFC participants in the Super Bowl did not make the playoffs the following year.
That's accurate.
Yes, and I think it happens again.
Okay, from what I remember, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. You said, and I quote, that the NFC West, I believe you said, is the toughest division in the NFC, right?
Yeah.
So you only have 2 teams making it from the NFC West.
Well,
and one of them somehow being the Arizona Cardinals. I'm really trying to figure out that.
They are this year's wild card. Where did they come from team? 49ers. I had 49ers at 9-7. And the Rams at 8-8.
They're doing.
So I had every team in that division.
You have the Rams at 8-8.
Yeah, that's high, but that's just how it came down to
Very high.
2-4 in the division. I think they have a pretty easy schedule though.
Did you just look at the fact that the Cardinals added DeAndre Hopkins and you said, you know what, we're just adding about 7 wins onto their team?
Kyler Murray year 2. I like Kingsbury year 2. Defense is solid. You add the best receiver in football, debatably. I like their backfield. I think this is the year they just come out of nowhere. And, the Cardinals historically have been a solid team as well, right? So,
I guess.
They were in the playoffs 3 years ago. And then it was just a downward spiral from there because they drafted my boy Josh Rosen. Your
twin, Josh Rosen.
He's going to get traded again this year, isn't he?
Who does he play for? Is it still the Dolphins?
Miami, yeah. So it's Tua, Fitzpatrick, and Rosen all in that same QB room.
Oh, he's getting traded 100%.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah, not a question.
Yeah, for the 3rd year in a row. So any teams you're curious on their records before we get to the playoffs?
Well, you did just kind of give me – are you talking about teams that didn't make the playoffs?
Yeah. Any non-playoff teams you're curious about?
Wait, did you did have the Bucks in there, right?
I did not. Yeah. 9-7, the 8th seed. 9-7, the 8th seed. They got beat out on a tiebreaker by the Eagles.
I'm really confused. I mean, I get that the NFC is good this year. I understand that. But to have all of these above 500 teams miss the playoffs in the NFC, but then 3 8-8 teams are going to make it in the AFC.
It could
seems a little wonky. I don't think the
know.
AFC is that bad, Alex. But so you don't have the Niners.
I think it's just
or the
far
Bucks.
more competitive, and it's top heavy. I think the Ravens and Chiefs are really top heavy, and the rest just.
I agree with that for sure. So you think the Bucks and the Niners are both missing the playoffs?
I do. Yeah, that's my hot
wild.
take today. See, so now the thing when I picked these games, it was subconscious. I didn't know what anybody's record was. I mean, you can look. I wasn't looking though. I was just picking games I thought they were going to shake out. I had my Packers at 11-5. That's about as unbiased as you can get. I mean, I could have them at 10-6, but right.
It's not really that unbiased. You still have the 3 seed. So
yeah, the 3 seed and the Vikings at the 6 seed, only a game back at 10-6.
See, I think you're really high on the Vikings.
I had the Lions. I had the Lions going 9-7 as well.
Okay, so the entire conference is 9-7. Or
oh no, the
better.
Bears at 5-10-1.
I don't know who the worst teams in each conference is, but I'm going to guess that you picked the Jaguars as the worst in the AFC. Right?
I had them going 5-10-1. That's the tie I picked was between the Bears and the Jags. The Bears and the Jags.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. That seems like the game. If you had to pick a singular game on the NFL schedule, Bears-Jags seems like it would be the tie, right? Or else it's like Lions and Arizona seems like it would be just fittingly a tie.
Why would Nick Foles want to hand an L to his former team? You know, it makes a lot of sense. Really.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I like the way you look at it.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yes.
So are they the worst team in the AFC?
No, 5-10-1. No, I don't think they are. Bengals at 4-12 might be. Dolphins are also 4-12. Dolphins and Bengals. Okay.
And then in the NFC, you had Panthers as the worst.
I did not. I had the Panthers going 6-10, worst in their division. I have the Reds. No, I can't say that. Washington at 3-13.
The Washington football team.
Yes, the Washington football team.
I'm not sure the Washington football team exists.
I made it my goal the last several weeks not to say that, and I just said it. Tavern Wisconsin Sports chiming in saying Colts sleeper team in the AFC have them going far. Well, let's see where I have them going. How's that sound? So let's go.
I'm excited.
Let's go to the playoffs.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a prediction. I think you have to go to the AFC Championship.
The Colts?
That's just me. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited.
All right. Well, let me do
because I know you've always I feel like you're a Phil Rivers guy. You've always liked Phil Rivers.
I am.
And then for some reason the last few years you've loved the Colts.
I have been really high on the Colts. It's playoff football time, baby. So, in the AFC, the 3-6 wild card matchup between the hosting Buffalo Bills and the visiting Denver Broncos, the 6th seed, in a arm wrestling match between Drew Lock and Josh Allen. Drew Lock comes through, and the Broncos advance to divisional round. The Ravens are playing host as the 2 seed to the 7-seeded Texans. Oh, yeah, baby. Lamar Jackson's getting that playoff win.
Yes, sir.
And finally, the Colts and Patriots in the 4-5 matchup. Phil Rivers topping Cam Newton, baby. The Colts are moving on.
Knew it was coming.
All right, in the NFC.
We're definitely having a Phillip Rivers Drew Lock AFC Championship.
In the NFC, we've got the Saints hosting the 7-seeded Eagles. The Saints move on. The Packers host the Vikings in a divisional matchup in Lambeau Field.
Oh, I wonder who's winning that.
Packers win at home. And finally, the Cowboys and Cardinals in the 4-5 matchup. They just have to move a little bit over to the Cardinals. You got to go 2 states to their east, and they'll take on in Jerry's world. But I do have the Cowboys.
Smart man.
Coming out on top. So I have the 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds advancing in the NFC. I have the 1, 2, 4, 6 seeds advancing in the AFC. So in the AFC, I've got the Chiefs hosting the Broncos. Mahomes is winning that one. I've got the Ravens playing host to Phil Rivers and the Colts.
Here we go.
I've got the Ravens winning that one.
Let's go. Okay.
All right. NFC. I've got the Packers over the Saints on the road.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I've got the Cowboys over the Seahawks on the road. So McCarthy will take on his former team in the NFC Championship game.
You just made that prediction for the storyline. That's all you care about.
And the Ravens and the Chiefs, this budding rivalry between Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
Can I pause just for a second?
Yes.
Who did you have winning the Week 3 matchup between those 2 teams?
I don't know.
Okay. Just curious.
I guess about
probably the Chiefs.
Probably the Chiefs. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I have the Ravens advancing to the Super Bowl.
Okay. This is
Lamar and John Harbaugh are going to break through. And I have the Packers topping the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game. Year 2 of the LaFleurian era is going great, baby. So I brought you here for a reason.
Okay.
In the Super Bowl, we've got Packers Ravens.
Okay. This I feel like you've predicted the Packers-Ravens Super Bowl for years.
I have. You're absolutely correct. Now, it happened in Madden a few weeks back. I streamed on Twitch and FaceTimed you while I played it. But I am going to go the other direction in this game. I have the Packers losing the Super Bowl and Lamar Jackson doing what Patrick Mahomes did the year after he won the MVP, and that is winning the Lombardi. As much as I hate to pick against the Packers. There you go. That's what I had going on.
That's
right
impressive.
there.
I don't think in my entire friendship with you have you ever thought the Ravens would win Super Bowl. Ever.
I'm sure I will change my mind in a month. But enjoy it while it lasts Bask in it, if you will.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I'm going to go to bed happy tonight because Alex Strouf picked the Ravens in July to win the Super Bowl. This is happiest day of my life.
Yeah, I imagine so. So Kyle is in my ear. He's really just coming at me, so I'm going to bring him in here. Why is it the S word, sir?
There's so many things wrong with it. First of all, you have the Packers losing in the Super Bowl, which just sucks. I mean, if you pick them,
they shouldn't be there in the first place. But that was generous. Anyway.
See, I think that's rude, and I think that's unfair. I think they have every.
Strouf, correct me if I'm wrong, but in May, after the Packers picked Jordan Love, I basically watched you get off of the Aaron Rodgers bandwagon. I'm just saying, I saw you.
True.
You basically got it. You were like,
I'm all
Jordan Love.
I'm all in on
Best
Jordan Love
decision
in
ever.
3 years. I think it's a great pick. Yeah. But I mean, Rodgers might win MVP this year. He's got now him and Danica Patrick broke up this week. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't. Is that going to motivate him?
Top story of the
day.
and
they drafted a quarterback, so he's got double chipped up, man.
Oh wow, this is crazy.
On a Thursday,
double chipped up on a Thursday. I think Aaron Rodgers has all the motivation and tools to get to the Super Bowl. I don't know about winning.
I mean, I respect that. I don't agree, but I respect that.
So I don't like how high you are on the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys, they're a top team every year. They're on paper they're a good team, and they just falter. There's something that happens.
You don't think Prescott in a prove it year under McCarthy, who's clearly a quarterback?
I think we win the division
with Ezekiel 10-6 and winning the division is not crazy.
I think they win the division. I don't think they go into the NFC championship game. The NFC East is the worst division in probably the NFL.
Yep.
I got to think about that for a second.
Because the Giants and Redskins are not winning 6 games. The Eagles are going to win 8 or 9. And then you got the Cowboys who are probably going to win 10.
Let's see what I had there. I had the Giants at 5-11, the Eagles at 9-7. And then the Cowboys at 10-6.
I think the Cowboys go 10-6, win the division, and they lose in the first round of the playoffs.
See, that's fair. But I don't. What else did
and then San Francisco, I get the fact that you don't like how the Super Bowl hangover of an NFC team. But San Francisco is just too good.
I don't think so, man. We said that about LA.
I think it's
last year. I remember this.
It's because
very clearly.
It's because people figured out LA. They figured out their offensive scheme, and once they figured it out,
and they weren't supposed to be there anyway.
But
we all know they weren't supposed to be in the Super Bowl anyway.
I remember we did a prediction show last year, you and I, when the bandwagon was still alive, RIP. And I picked the Rams not to make the playoffs, and you thought I was insane.
I'm sure I did, but because not making the playoffs is one thing. Because I mean, I didn't think they should have been in the Super Bowl, but I feel like they were good enough to be in the NFC Championship against the Saints. They shouldn't have won. We all know that. And then I was like, okay, they'll probably make the playoffs the next year. The difference with the Niners is, there's now 7 playoff teams, and you're telling me they still can't make it in. And overall, they don't have, the crazy thing about the Niners is they didn't have all these like super spots, like skill positions or whatever, where they were talented. They didn't have one good player at quarterback that like carry the team or anything like that. They had a collective group that was super good, had super good chemistry, and they made it all the way to the Super Bowl. Like,
yeah,
I think the Rams kind of had these like individual players who help make the team great. If that makes sense.
It does.
And I feel
make
like
sense.
it's the difference with the Niners.
Do you think Todd Gurley is going to have a rebirth in Atlanta? Do you think he's going to? Oh man, it's official. I reported it first, but Rodgers and Patrick breakup official.
All right, woo!
It's confirmed.
Wow.
I did report
Rodgers
it first.
Free agent, ladies, he's single.
I had a source on that, Vic. I'll actually publicly talk about this. So I had a source. I won't say who or what the connection was, but I had somebody text me yesterday saying, hey, you should know this. This happened. And the speculation began yesterday because Danica Patrick unfollowed Aaron Rodgers on Instagram. But I had it confirmed yesterday that it's over. They said their goodbyes on Tuesday. And I got another text from that same individual today saying that now that it's confirmed by one of them, I'm good on airing this now. So I got a little rumor that Danica Patrick and Aaron Rodgers did not leave on good terms. In fact, I heard that there was a burning of objects session last night. And that is from the Patrick camp that she burned some of Aaron Rodgers' stuff last night. Interesting enough.
Do we know what she burned?
I don't have an object list now, but I did hear there was a drunkenness and burn fest.
Too much
going
scotch? A little too much scotch for Mr. Raj.
Well, no, for Miss Patrick.
Patrick.
She drank the sorrows away and burned some of his stuff. Is what a source tells me.
I mean, isn't that what you do when you're drunk and you just broke up with your boyfriend?
I throughout my breakups, I don't know if I've ever gone the distance of burning things. Vic?
I have bonfires every single time. It's like a ritual for sure. I invite the whole community.
You're a witch. You are a witch.
I have no comment on this matter.
Okay, fair enough. Big thanks to Justin Garcia, Tom Grossi, and Travis Diener again for jumping on earlier. Vic, as he always does, he's going to stick with us, do some Thursday thoughts. Do you have a thought this week, Vic?
He does.
Surprisingly, I'm actually thinking today a little bit.
All right, let's hear it, man. I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is pressure.
Boy.
So,
boy.
I feel like this has been a big thing that's happened, especially on social media. I don't know about like in real life because I don't talk to people on the street and stuff like that because we're not allowed to go outside of our houses and things like that. But I think we've heard a lot these last few weeks about, for some reason, there's this popularity of using the word normalize, right? And it's basically a way to, if you have an opinion about something and you want everybody else to also get on board with that opinion, you tell people to normalize that opinion, right? So sometimes it's like a serious matter. It's like maybe like a political thing, or like normalize talking to your child about bullying, something like that. That's nice. Whatever. That's cool. But then it's gotten to the point where it's like, if my opinion is, I think everyone needs to eat soup with a fork, I would tweet, we need to normalize eating soup with a fork. As if it's like this thing that everyone needs to do, and it's like a stigmatized thing that we need to normalize. It's just, and it happens like through my TL, my timeline, if you don't know the lingo.
TL,
like, it's just,
baby. You are hip.
It's just all normalize this, normalize that, and it's so dumb, guys. So I want to normalize the federal ban on the word normalize.
So have you written Congress yet?
I've actually gotten contact with a representative from Kentucky, and we're going to get this done. So
I feel like it's sarcastic, but I don't know. At the same time, I'm kind of, I don't know. Are you serious about that?
His Kentucky connection? Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Can I confirm or deny?
It's kind of like the thing too, where I'm going to bring this up too. The whole new normal thing.
Yeah, I'm tired of that
new
too.
Normal. It's stupid.
Yeah, it is. You are correct.
Normal. It's not a new normal. It's just normal. It's just like wearing a mask. It's the new normal.
It's just adapting to our current situation. You don't have to like call it something. I don't know.
You think I can put this on?
I think you should put that on.
I'm going to with my headphones on if it decides to work. I guess I could take the headphones off, but
I guess the less your face we see, the better. So
yes, Kyle, do you have something today?
Well, I mean, this is ours. We have the same one.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's pop up the graphic.
Well, first let's
what the heck's going on?
What are you doing, Taco Bell?
So Victor, this should be known. Hold on. This should be announced now. So Victor's going to be good at this. Victor is a vegan. So he does not fancy Taco Bell, I don't believe.
Their bean burritos are nice.
I respect it.
Okay.
I respect it.
So okay, you still go, everyone. That's exactly where I'm going to go after the show. By the way, I haven't eaten yet today.
I think that's the only restaurant in your town. So
it's not actually the street right next to my house and right up the road from the station here. There is on the same street. There is a Rocky Rococo's, a Subway, a Culver's, a McDonald's, a Perkins,
a
KFC.
I don't know what any of these restaurants are.
A KFC, a Pizza Hut.
You never heard of KFC?
A McDonald's.
Okay, I've heard of KFC and
Subway.
Pizza. I don't know Perkins and Culver's and Rocky Rococo's.
Oh, I guess you're from North Carolina, so whatever.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Culver's is the Wisconsin.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it's the greatest fast food chain in America.
Anyway, so Taco Bell, Taco Bell announced this today that they were going to be cutting these menus: quesaritos, beefy Frito burritos, and loaded grillers are really where I get hurt because I eat all three of those regularly.
Loaded nacho or
all potato items.
Yeah, I was going to ask what that means.
I mean, okay, if you can name one thing on the Taco Bell menu that you think should get removed, what should it be? Because I know what my answer is. I want to know what you think.
If one thing I had to remove?
If you need to remove one thing, get rid of it completely.
Oh, yeah, it'd be those, this might not count, but those cinnamon,
the cinnamon
bites.
twists.
No, come on.
The cinnamon bites?
No.
Those are good.
No, the cinnamon twists. No, you're right. Yeah, cinnamon
twists.
The things that come in the $5 box. Those got to go. Those got to go.
Cinnamon twists are good. Nah, I'm not here for this slander.
Those suck. Those are awful. They're not. Yeah. They used to be really good.
When I eat about 2 of them, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm good here.
I think if I'm saying what has to go, I think and I'm gonna miss the NBA Finals things with this, but I think the Doritos Locos Tacos need to go. I don't even eat them, but I feel like they need to go.
I respect that.
I like those.
I would miss the NBA Finals promotion that they always do with that.
Well, and the MLB and the World Series. Steal a base, steal a taco.
Oh, they do that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I would miss that as well.
Do we know if this is confirmed? Or was that what was that screen?
It said it was from a verified Taco Bell employee on Reddit on Wednesday.
So take it for what it's worth, but I mean,
I want to know what kind of Taco Bell employee that was. Was that just like a cashier? Was that
I wonder.
CEO? Like what?
I mean, I'm hoping it was like someone higher up who has some pull. Who knows?
Because they can stop this madness from occurring. If they get rid of quesaritos, I'm going to lose it.
Honestly, they could get rid of let me pull the list back up here. I've never had a spicy tostada.
I haven't
I've never
either.
had a 7-layer burrito.
I haven't either.
I mean,
triple layer nacho I've never had.
The quesarito, the loaded griller, the beefy Frito burrito. Those are like my go-to. Like,
yeah, I agree. I'm with you.
You can get one of each of those, and you're full on like $5, and you're good to go.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm with you, Tyler.
That sucks.
I'm sorry, man.
The cheesy gordita crunch would really pull me over because that's my favorite thing at Taco Bell.
See, I love that the fact that Kyle has talked more about Taco Bell today than anything else that's come up is just
I'm passionate about it.
I love your passion, and I love everybody that came in, chatted with us, kicked it with us the last couple of weeks. We're off next week. We'll be back Wednesday, the 29th. Vic, always a pleasure, my man. We'll do it again soon.
Of course.
Kyle, appreciate your work. You get the week off next week. How's that sound?
I mean, we got some pre-recorded content coming out, so
you don't get the week off. I get the week off then as I drive cross country. But we'll do it again soon. Again, a big thanks to Vic, Travis Diener, Justin Garcia, and Tom Grossi. Whoa, that's a long guest list. It was a fun show. It was a lot of fun. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you soon. All right? Peace.